Hey, welcome to Being Creative. My name is Rick Leaf, as you know, and I'm the host of this show. And today's episode is about one of the best things anyone has ever said to me, contrasted with one of the worst things anyone's ever said to me. And then I'm going to take that beginning and I'm going to spin it all into a fantastic web that will ensnare you with three amazingly provocative questions that might just move you forward in your own pursuit of being creative and living an amazing life. But whatever happens in this episode, I want to be the first person to say, I'm glad you're here. I don't know, before I begin, I almost feel like I should apologize, but that's ridiculous in and of itself. I was going to apologize for the great length of time between episodes, but let's get real. This is a passion for me, this podcast, to share some of the stories that have come out of a life, a creative life lived, and that's messy and it's chaotic and it's amazing and beautiful, and I've wanted to share the journey with those of you who are also committed to this creative path, because it can be lonely, it can be frustrating, and I don't know about you, but for me, largely that comes down to how out of step a creative life can feel with the greater culture and society that we have around us. And as always, that's where I'd like to start here. Okay, I'd like to take you back 1,000,000 years in history to the day I bought my first computer. I don't know, do you remember when you bought your first computer? It was 1,000,000 years ago, wasn't it? Yeah, totally. Dinosaurs and all that jazz. And I maybe have shared some of this story before, but there's always a new spin to it. So I get to Winnipeg. I realize I need a computer. And so I go to the store and the guys just start rattling off numbers and with dashes and decimals and gigs and hertz and whatever they're talking about. It is another language I don't understand. Looking back on it, what I find amazing is how little they cared that the customer would understand at all what they were talking about. Well, I say it's amazing, but I think it's also what happens when you meet somebody doing something they're not passionate about. In fact, they don't even care about. That's when it's easy for us to blame, airline employees who are like chucking our bags around in the back and smashing the crap out of everything, or politicians, or the political apparatus where people are just, working in some office somewhere and they're nobody's taking accountability for anything. I think it's easy for us to just rightly so probably to make fun of this a lot of times. But I think what we're picking up on is when people are not passionate about what they're doing, they don't care at all about doing a good job or even doing a decent job. That's what I feel like when I look back on this whole thing, and I'm just like staring there and I'm like, I clearly don't understand what in the world these guys in the computer department are talking about. And so I walk out of the store without spending a dime because I don't know what's going on. And I voice this confusion and concern to a guy who became a really good friend. His name was Kevin, and he built computers. He has a company that he installs all these massive networks. I don't even really understand what he does. But he kind of told me to shut up for a second, and he started asking me questions. What are you going to do with it? What do you want to do? I'm like, I want to write songs. I want to record songs. Okay, so you need a good sound card. What else? I want to write emails and set up tours and, write lyrics and whatever. And he's like, okay, so you want to do word processing and do, record songs. So what about video games? And I'm like, I don't play video games. And so he's like, well, then you don't need to put a ton of money in your video card. Let's take the money and put it in your sound card, blah, blah, blah. He builds the computer for me based on what it is that I want to do with it. That was one of the best things anybody's ever said to me, because you can apply that to anything. If I go in to buy a keyboard or a guitar, any instrument, if I go in to buy a PA system or any kind of gear that I need, or I'm looking online at different apps or different programs that might help me in my business or in my personal life. The people that are just like, yeah, here, buy it, you need it. And it's like, do I need it? Like, why? You don't even know the first thing about me. How would you know what I need? And so I've really come to appreciate the people in my own life who will ask me questions. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? How do you want to set this up? What's important to you? And that's the way I've approached myself in what I'm doing with other people. It's like if I go into a school, I do lots of projects in schools and creative development things. And it's like, what's your theme? What's important to you? What would you like this to be? What is the outcome that you are hoping to have from this week that we spend together? Because whatever it is, then I want to tailor what it is that I'm doing or offering to what it is that you hope to get out of this experience or this moment. What are the best things anybody's ever told me? So, same with vehicles. You walk onto the lot and the guy just starts trying to sell you something, anything. And it's just like, man, if you're not going to ask me a single question, well, then I don't care about a single thing you have to say. And I'm sure some of us, many of you out there, may in fact have experiences like that. And you understand where I'm coming from. So that, just to begin with, that's our launching point. Imagine that, Olympics are on right now. Imagine that we're standing on the tower ready to do this deep dive. That's the first step. But I told you I was going to share one of the stupidest things that anybody has told me, and that involves religious leaders and art councils. Stay tuned. So if Kevin asked me a question, what are you going to do with it? And that was one of the best things that ever happened. Then the stupidest thing is to contrast that, which happened repeatedly by different religious leaders and art councils, among other institutions and organizations, is this, it's the advice that would say you should compare yourself